What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. So glad to be back here. I've been reading all the comments. I'm seeing that all the strategies that people are utilizing and it's working. I'm very happy. I've been doing a lot of consultations, getting a lot of good information out there. People giving me feedback saying that the stuff is actually working. I mean, I know it works because I do it myself. We do it ourselves, but yeah, I'm just really excited that it's working for everybody and people getting to the money, man, and being able to be home with their families, not traveling so far over the road. So anyway, today I got a great video for you. I want to show you in depth how to post your truck to specifically fit your truck, your location, and your situation. All right, and for all y'all out there, the information that I do put out there, I want y'all to understand that this information was something that I just by myself came up with. I figured out by myself. My business partner, my wife, my best friend, helped me figure this out. So, you know, I'm gonna have my wife explain to y'all because really she's the one that posts the truck. She definitely focuses on that. I mean, we definitely work together, but you know, she definitely focuses on that and she is an expert at it. So I want y'all to pay close attention. And for those who want to know how to post a truck right, you know, and without further ado, let's get on to it.
All right, so as Cruz mentioned, we're going to do an in-depth explanation on how to post your truck. This way you can customize and tailor the load so that you're only running what you want to run. A lot of people have complaints that when they post their truck, they get loads that they don't really like and go to places that they don't prefer. So this shows you how to tailor it
specifically to you.
Yes, specifically to you. So once you get into the Amazon Relay website, you're going to click on load board. And once you do that, you have 3 tabs: recommended, search, and post a truck. You're going to click post a truck and scroll down. As you can see, this looks very similar to the search criteria when you're on the regular load board, but this just allows you to input specific information as to the what type of loads you prefer to run for your company. So when you first get onto this page, you want to go to work type. For box trucks, it's one way, always one way. In origin, you can utilize your location, or you can put in a specific city. If you know that you're going to be around that specific city, you would pick that city. In this case, we're picking Richmond, Virginia, and then the radius selection pops up. Now, Amazon allows you to pick a deadhead of up to 100 miles. In our case, we only want the deadhead to be up to 50 miles, but you do have a few different selections that you could choose from. But make sure that your radius is large enough for you to have access to as many facilities as possible so that you don't decrease your load options. So 50-mile radius is what we're going with. And then for destination, we have anywhere. Now, this is where you can begin to customize it to the places that you do and do not want to go. There's a section that says Excluded Cities, and it allows you to do up to 3 cities. Cruz will kind of explain what a good time to use the Excluded Cities option is.
Yes, ma'am. The excluded city options is best used for those out there who do not have a lift gate, because you might run into situations whereas the post office don't have a dock or a lift gate dock. So you have to utilize your equipment. So in order to avoid those situations, you can put those particular cities in, so whereas when you post your truck, you won't get assigned to those cities. But the issue you will run into is, say if on load A, B, and C, you're not able to unload your truck properly at stop B. Well, what happened is, now that you excluded stop B, you will no longer be able to book loads for stop A and C if they're on the same load. If y'all understand what I'm saying, I know that could be real confusing, but once again, that's why we need to be out here studying this game and studying the board, because that's important. And once again, why I preach on having the right dimensions. But anyway, I'm kind of getting off track. Let's go back.
Okay. So, as you mentioned before, this is when you would put places that you know that your truck cannot be accommodated. So if I didn't have a lift gate, for those of you that are in the Richmond area, the post office at Orange, Virginia, you have to have a lift gate. Otherwise, you won't be able to get your pallets off of the truck. So we would input Orange, and select the correct orange. And that's 1 city. Now you can do up to 3, as I mentioned before, but
yeah, that's it. I mean, like I said, you can do up to 3 cities, but like I said, we don't want to be limiting ourselves on the amount of income that we can generate for our businesses. So that's going to be one thing that we're going to try to avoid. But in a lot of cases, that'll probably be your best friend, so that you don't be running into issues that will take up your time or create issues for those out there who have drivers.
Right. So once you find the cities that you want to exclude, then the next very, very important part to posting your truck is the start date. Now, most box truck loads start, depending on which city you're in, starts at about 10 o'clock at night. So you're going to want to pick the day and then that evening. And this is military time, so it'll be 2200. And that is for 10 o'clock at night. And then you're going to want to run it until the next morning. And most of the loads end before 8 a.m. So you're going to want to put 8 o'clock a.m. 0800. So you're going to want to put 8 o'clock, because if you put a time that is before that, like say 4 a.m., then if the trip details that the load ends after that specific time, then that's another load that they're not going to assign to you, because your specific time frame is outside of that. Well, that time is outside of your specific time frame. So you want to put it out to like 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, so that you don't miss any loads that might end at like 6:55, 7 o'clock. But most post office runs end around 8, simply because the post office needs those in by 8 in order to get them onto their mail trucks. So
yeah, that's how I want to do a quick interjection on that. And for those who don't understand, that is, when you're on the load board and you see a load that is supposed to pick up at midnight, and then the last stop on that load say 7 o'clock a.m., that you're supposed to be at that post office at 7 a.m. If you go and post your truck for your end time to be at 5 a.m., then you won't be able to get those type of loads, because you're saying that you're only available from what we say 10 at night to 5 in the morning.
Right.
So what you want to do is make sure that you're booking yourself in blocks. Understand blocks, understand how to book yourself in blocks.
Right. So once you have that in place, now what you don't want to do is say that I'm available today until next Sunday, because that's the incorrect way, and that's how most people say they end up not getting anything but one postal truck. And I'll show you how to duplicate this so that you can post the same availability for multiple days, but you don't want to put it out for the whole week. I don't know how to explain it.
No, that was good, baby.
Okay.
What you want to do is, every postal truck is specifically catered for one day. Do not post your truck out.
One trip.
One trip.
Yeah, one trip.
Just one trip. So don't post your truck out and think that for during that 8-hour period, they're going to book 2 loads for you.
Right.
Once you get one load booked, they cancel out that order and it was fulfilled.
Right.
So if you want to book your truck from Monday, for the following week, you want to book your truck from Monday to Friday, that's 5 days. You need to make 5 postal truck orders.
Right.
Individual postal truck orders.
And the same for multiple trucks. So if you have 2 trucks that are running for 5 days a week, you need to have a total of 10 postal truck orders open so that all of those can get filled. Okay? So now that we have the start date and the end date, now you want to go to stops. Now, there's no need to really limit yourself as to how many stops. Most of the time, even for post office stops, it's like a max of like 5 or 6 stops. They're not going to overload you with a lot of stops. So I would keep that at any. All right, so next is trip length, and this is distance. Now, this is very important. You don't want to necessarily put something in the minimum, but you definitely want to put maximum miles into how long you want your trip to be. If you're leasing a vehicle, then this is very important because you don't want to pay for additional miles. So, I don't know if you want to.
For all of those who want to be in control of the amount of miles you drive a day, the end miles point that you put in is critical. So if you know that you're dead hitting every day 40 miles, and you know that you don't want to put no more than 300 miles to 400 miles a day on your truck. So you gotta take in consideration of that 40 miles deadhead. You gotta take consideration of the trip miles. So if the trip is 150 miles, then you're already at 190 miles on your truck. Let's say if your deadhead is 120 miles back, now you're at 310 miles for the day. That's how you can control your miles. That's how you can control the amount of money and diesel you're putting in your truck, and you can control the amount of miles you're doing a week. Definitely for those who out there paying surcharges for miles and having to pay for a leasing truck. So that's why that portion is critical, because you don't want to be booked for loads that's 250 miles when you know that your cap is 160, 170, 180 miles. So that's why that's critical.
Right. So once you figure and you do all that math, yes, it is some math involved, but once you do that math, then you'll know how long you can make your trip distance. For us, we usually like to stay within 120 miles. That way we know we're staying under our miles for the day, the cap that we have set for ourselves. So I'll put in 120 miles. Once you do that, the next portion that you're going to want to make sure you fill out correctly is trailer status. So for 26-foot box trucks, you have to select required 26-foot. Driver type is going to be solo. All box truck loads are solo. There are no team drives. Now, this is a nice feature that they added to the poster truck, where you can select the driver that you want to pick. And once a load is fulfilled through poster truck, it'll automatically go to their relay app. So you don't have to call and let your driver know, hey, I got a load for you booked. But that's optional. If you want to select the driver, you can. So next important piece is whether you want to do price per mile or your total payout. And this is another important part. Once you realize what your total cost for the day is, and you're going to want to know what to price it at so that you can get a good rate per mile. Now, keep in mind that, these are kind of bids, so you want to make sure that you are competitive for whatever your area rates are. However, you don't want to underbid yourself. Sometimes it's better just to let your truck sit than to take a load that is just underpriced. But by posting a truck, you do have access to loads that are not on the board. So a lot of times when you post your truck for these specific prices, you can get this. This is the minimum that you're willing to take. A lot of times you'll actually get more than that specific minimum by just but at least they'll know that I'm not running my truck for less than that amount. So once you do price per mile, this is your rate, and this is as low as you're going to go. You're not willing to take anything, not going to move your truck for anything less than whatever price per mile. So doing the math, if you know that you're willing to go up to 120 miles for $3 a mile, that means that you potentially are making $360 on that trip. Now, if you want to say, I can't make anything less than $250 that day, then this is when you will want to put a minimum mile inside of that minimum mile box. Say, I don't want to make anything less than $150 off of a trip, then you know that you can't go anything less than 50 miles. So that means that you'll be assigned trips between 50 miles and 120 miles at $3 a mile. So you'll make between $150 and $360 in that specific trip. Another way to post your truck, if you don't want to do price per mile, but for that day you want to make a specific amount of money and you're not really concerned about the price per mile, you just want to make sure that you make X amount of dollars, you could do your payout as a minimum. And so in this case, if you know that you want to go up to 120 miles, but you want your payout to be at least $500 for that day, then it'll calculate the price per mile for you, and you won't receive any trips that don't pay out at least $500. So that is personal preference. Personally, we just use the price per mile. We're fine with the way that works out, but you would just do a little bit of research, see which method works best for you and your location. And then the last piece that is very important is minimum stem time. Now, all this means is the amount of time it takes for you to deadhead from pretty much your home or place of business to the facility of origin. Now, if you know that you live 45 minutes away, do not select 30-minute stem time. You need to select an hour. So that means that your trip will be assigned to you no less than 1 hour before the trip starts.
But I suggest everybody do an hour.
Once you do all of that, you'll click submit. Now, this is their confirmation pop-up box. This just lets you know that over the past 6 weeks, how many trips that fulfilled that criteria were offered and matched. That is something that you could keep in mind. If you have made it too narrow of a filter, then the lower these amount of trips per week show means that the less likely you are to get a specific load going that way. If it says 0, then you're going to want to change it, because that means that that's not something that they offer at all. So what you want to do is tailor that so that you have a good amount of trips. I would say 50 trips or more are good for you to be able to select that as your criteria and click confirm. So it does just detail once again what your specific filters were for that postal truck load that you are willing to be assigned to, and then you'll press confirm. So now, once you confirm the load, it goes into your open tabs. Once you have decided that that type of trip works for you, this is where you would go in to make sure that you can reduplicate this same trip for multiple days, because you would click under action and duplicate. Once you click duplicate, this whole thing up here now fills in with what information you had from your open trip, and then you're going to want to go in and change the date to whatever the next days are. A second open availability will show in your open list. So you're going to want to do that for every day that you say that you're available for that specific block of time. Now, the last question that most people have is, how do you know that your postal truck has been fulfilled? Whatever email address that you have on file on your Amazon Relay profile is where they're going to send the email to.
That was great. That was great, baby. I know this was a long video. We want to be very detailed, because these videos going to sit and they're going to marinate, online. And I want y'all to be able to always go back and utilize these videos so that, if you run into any issues, you have something to reflect on. I'm just very glad to be here. It's Mother's Day, so I'm about to go spend time with my wife.
Yay.
And just want to bring this to y'all, man. And y'all have a blessed day.